go. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Blackout Tips podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
And we're live on a Tuesday, ready to do some podcasting. Find us everywhere you find podcasts. Don't forget, tickets are for sale. The show notes have them live. You can watch us even if you're not in person in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Blumenthal Center for Performing Arts. The 28th of February, the last day of February. It's a Friday, 7 p.m. Of course, we will have VIP meet and greet. That will start at 5:30. So we have an hour to take pictures, sign posters, all that type of stuff for people. We're looking forward to all of that. But if you can't be there in person, that's no excuse. You can still get your virtual tickets and you can enjoy it with us virtually, watching it broadcast live. And honestly, you guys help us out. We've been setting everything up, paying for everything. Mm-hmm. We do more than just pay for the venue. You got to pay for the photographer, the person that's going to broadcast it live for us. Mm-hmm. We have to pay some of the workers that are union workers there.
Right.
These stickers and these posters, none of it is free. So we're paying for all this stuff in the hopes that we make our money back on the back end, which is from you guys buying tickets. That's really as simple as it gets. Pay JL Covan, like we're paying people to come do this stuff, and we want people to feel appreciated.
We do.
So make sure you buy your tickets is my point, if you want to support the show. And of course, just like every time we do this, even though it's more work for me, if you can't make it in person, but you would like to donate some tickets for somebody that can be here in person but doesn't have the money, I will facilitate that. Just email me the blackouttips@gmail after you buy your tickets and after they send you the PDF file. Yep. They're gonna send you a PDF file a couple days before the event. If you forward me that email, I will pass those on to people who can't be there.
Yeah, that are in the surrounding area and I don't got the 5.
Yeah, so just letting you guys know about that. The official weapon of the show, did I already say this?
Folding chair.
Unofficial sport.
Bullet ball.
And bullet ball extreme. All right, let's get into the show. Plenty of stuff to talk about. We took yesterday off because yesterday was President's Day, or if you got Google calendars, President everybody except Barack Obama Day. Karen, do you have any banter?
I do.
All right. Do you have any
banter? Talk to me.
Do you have any
banter? Talk to me.
Do you have any banter? Do you have any banter?
I do.
Banter. Talk to me. Banter. Talk to me.
Do you have any banter?
I do.
Banter.
I do.
All right, Karen.
Let's banter us up.
Yeah.
My first thing, this happened a while ago, but we was at a one of them. Me and Roger, we like ramens and noodles and things like that. I was eating so hard, I found a noodle in my hoodie pocket. I did not realize that I was throwing down so hard. I was like, the fuck this noodle come from? Oh, yeah, Karen, you was eating noodles earlier. That shit, it was good as shit. I didn't care.
Little road treat for you.
Yes, random noodle, and I would confuse myself.
One for them, one for you.
Apparently so.
What was I gonna say? What I had some banter. Whoever we were talking with Keith Malley, and he was upset as he gets about Keith Malley from the podcast Keith and the Girl. He was upset as he gets about the Wordle. He is a big part of his life, and sometimes if it's not right, it can bother him. When they use words like Sally, and that's and I get it because I've never seen anyone use the word Sally
other than Sally Mae
itself, other than someone's actual name.
Yes, and Sally Mae, them the only people.
Sally Mae is also a name. If someone say, "Hey, have you seen Sally Mae?" You be like, "Who is that?"
I be like, "You owe that bitch some money."
Right. So and the other day the term was Smith, like you know, and he didn't like it because once again, you know, there's Joe Smith, Will Smith, Larry Smith. But of course, Smith, you know, probably from me playing a lot of video games, when I hear the word Smith, obviously I think of a name. But if you told me like, oh no, it's not a name, what else is it? I'd be like, oh, okay, like a blacksmith,
A locksmith.
ironsmith, locksmith, wordsmith, you know, what those type of things. But what it made me think about beyond Smith is that I believe the origin had to be it was somebody's name. And whoever Smith was had amazing PR.
Yes,
that
they
person
did.
was a genius because not because they really were a genius, but they supplemented their name for expert. So it's like, hey man, I'm looking for somebody that can fix some locks. And it's like, you mean a locksmith? Well, my name is Mr. Smith. I can fix all the locks. He could have been lying, but whatever he did, he managed to insert expert for Smith. Blacksmith, wordsmith, whatever. It just means expert. Smith means expert.
Yeah.
So shout out to that person, because I mean that could have been no one knew it at the time, but everybody was up for the same thing. But none of us had the foresight. None of our ancestors were like Jones. We could be like that. He's a real Lock Jones. Oh,
Hey, you never
need to
know.
go to the Black Jones, but Smith beat everybody to the shit.
On top of it.
So congratulations to him.
I found out that just because they call your name at the game does not mean that you actually play. We were at the game and they called a player's name and we seen the player and then the player just disappeared. Didn't come out. Name was up on the roster. And I was like, oh, it don't mean that you have to play apparently.
Giannis was a late scratch. He had a calf issue. He tried to work it out in the layup line, but then the game started and they even announced Giannis.
Yes.
And Giannis did not play a second of that game. And the people that bet money were pissed.
Yes.
Because
They were very angry in our section.
Yeah. So he was very upset. They were very upset because gamblers depend on that information. He was listed on the injury report, but he was listed as going to play. So I don't know what the gambling apps have to do. I'm assuming everyone gets their money back, but yeah, they were pissed.
They were very upset. Oh, that's yours?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, my turn?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. You was.
I know. Just go. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay.
Finish yours out. I have one that's kind of long, and I don't know if I'm gonna do it
Okay.
today.
Oh, no.
Because I know you have a lot.
Oh, no problem. I can make this my last one then. We had went to this place and they had like a tea machine. And as somebody that worked at restaurants, I know how the tea machine goes. When I mean tea machine, like iced sweet tea, unsweet tea, and stuff like that. But this tea machine was very confusing because it was set up like the other ones, but it had buttons at the top that confused the shit out of me. And I guess they done spruced it up and made them fancy. So the sweet tea and the unsweet tea is kind of in the same thing. I guess they must got it divided up and I didn't know. I was like, oh, we are fancy now. I was so lost because it had like the handle that you normally have at the bottom, how you pull. So I was just pulling the handle, didn't realize I had to select my tea too. It was so confusing. I figured it out though. But yeah, technology and old people.
Okay. All right. Was it like a Keurig where like how Keurig you can pick it just makes the water hot and puts it through the thing or something, or it was cold?
No, all the tea was cold.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about this.
It was very, very confusing. At first I was like, what's going on? And then I happened to look up and there was some freaking buttons on it. I was like, oh, I think I'm supposed to push this button. I was like, sweet tea.
Where was this at?
At that place we went to on Super Bowl, that didn't have the wings.
The hot dog place?
Yes.
Okay.
It had the Axe place in it, yes.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I don't drink tea, so I never know
Then I
about
got
the tea technology. But
fancy.
I guess you didn't know either. You drink tea all the time.
Yeah, I do. That's why I was confused. I was like, I've been around enough tea to know that this don't make no sense.
Sound like you need to catch up, sis.
Apparently, I am behind the times on the tea game.
All right. So nothing else, or
Oh, I can keep going. I didn't
go
know.
ahead.
Okay.
Keep going. I did not rush you or tell you to stop.
Okay. Speaking of places, we'll probably end up talking about this place when we do another lip smacking good. I tried something called a Memphis dog. It was actually really, really good. It had slaw and pulled pork on a hot dog. It was absolutely delicious. I don't know if that's a true Memphis dog, but that's what the board called it. So don't be writing up here talking about it ain't authentic. Bitch, I don't know. I know that they said it was a Memphis dog and it was delicious.
Your banter is just stuff you did. That's you just right now stuff you did. Well, so that sparks a thought for me, which is who decides what goes on what location's hot dog? How do I know that's an official Memphis dog? How do I know that that's how they do it in Memphis?
I have no idea.
Y'all the ones that told me that it was beans and tomato juice. I might go to Memphis. They just putting ketchup and mustard on there, and now I'm like, wait a minute, y'all tripping, like y'all lied, you know?
Yeah.
I don't now look. Maybe you just get stuck with a good one. That's what we did, because Carolina, we get the slaw, the mustard, and the chili. That's an amazing combination.
Yes, sir.
But honestly, I didn't grow up where they was like, obviously, if you're making a hot dog in Carolina, you put the chili and the slaw on it. That's not how I grew up. We just was eating hot dogs like everybody else, and then one day somebody said, you want a Carolina dog? And I said, what's that? And it was from Wendy's or some shit. And I was like, what? They got slaw and ketchup. I guess this is our shit now. This is good. But some of these hot dogs in this restaurant, I was like, it's no way.
Right? I was like, are these authentic? I don't know.
They're like, oh yeah, this is a California dog. It's got guacamole, feta cheese. You know what I mean?
I was like, this can't be real, because we don't know. So that's why I would say, I know there's some people who this is their jam and they will feel insulted, but this is just my lack. I don't know that it's
their jam or whatever. I don't know that they would feel insulted, but I just feel like somebody made it up in a room. I feel like we can make these up. Yes. Oh, it's a Hawaii dog. What's got on it? Pineapples. What?
And ham.
That's how they eat it out there. Pineapples and hams. Like, that's not true. You know they don't do that. Well, who's gonna fucking sue us? No one can stop us. We have a restaurant and a menu and all the power.
Yeah, so I don't know if they was lying to me or not, but it was absolutely delicious. And at this same place, I thought it was very dangerous. We was sitting there enjoying our meal, and Roger looked up. He said, that's the axe throwing place. I was like, what is it? I was like, what? And I looked, and it was and it wasn't separated. It was in there with the restaurant. I was like, it wasn't nobody in there, but I was like, if you have kids or something around, somebody could just turn around with a fucking axe and just axe everybody down. This is not safe.
It was in a cage. Like, you got to go in there with the axe, but the cage was like this mesh fabric. Like, it was nothing to stop somebody from if. I mean, I guess that's the thing about any axe throwing place, though. I mean, technically, you just gave somebody a weapon. If they just wanted to kill a bunch of people, it's right there. I don't know how we allowed this as a society. It's like having a gun range, but next to some nachos, and somehow that's okay.
And a lot of these places you drink, so not only are you have a weapon that's sharp, it could take somebody's head off, you are drunk.
But I guess technically you could do the same thing with a bowling ball. So maybe, we're all just getting by on a social contract that we're not going to kill each other randomly for no fucking reason. But yeah, I mean, they do give you a blunt, a sharp object and say, get drunk and throw it and eat Memphis dogs.
Yes, they do. They surely do. My next one is me and Roger, this is another place we're probably gonna talk about lip smacking good. I had never heard of a bowl called a volcano bowl, but bitch is hot and it stay hot for a long ass time. And me and Roger had ordered some food, and it was 10 minutes later, and that bowl was still fucking smoking hot. I was like, holy shit, how is this legal for them to give us this bowl at the table?
I feel like this should have been a lip smacking good point, but yeah, that bowl was hot. It was like scalding hot, and there was no warning on the label or I think even when she handed it to me, I don't even think she said, be careful, the bowl is hot.
Wow.
At least I don't remember her saying that. But it's also so hot, I don't know how you couldn't know it was hot. And then the other thing about it, I'd imagine just someone's gonna sue. and then that practice will stop.
Just that will.
But it was cool, and we'll talk about that more on Lip Smacking Good because I don't want to give all the people all the details. But yeah, that bowl was very hot.
That bowl was smoking hot. And the last thing, I am a true gamer. I was supposed to be taking a 30-minute break. My black ass got caught up in the dungeon. It was like, I will not leave here until I beat this boss. And I think I'm playing this game called Cuisinier. And we'll probably end up talking about more on the nerd off tomorrow. And on the dungeon, I was fighting this big ass crab. And he was really, really tough. And I was like, damn, I got to go back. But I was like, you know what? Fuck that shit. You got to die, crab. And Roger was like, oh, you still on break? I was like, oh, shit. I was like, this turned into an hour break. Because I was like, you got to die. You know you a gamer if you be like, fuck that shit. I got to beat this dungeon.
Yeah, you always are the one that's rushing back to work from your breaks whenever I'm like, oh, we can watch this TV show. I was like, I gotta go to break. But then she was in there for like over an hour. I was like, what are you doing?
What are you doing in there?
She's just trying to beat a boss. But yeah, that is, I feel you. I think we've all been there, all us gamers. So the thing I had to say, but I just feel like I don't know how long this will take to make this point, and maybe this point is a bit nebulous. But the other day on Twitter, I saw this picture here. That picture, do you know who that is in these pictures?
Yes, Peter Parker's aunt.
Aunt May, yeah. And so these are pictures of Aunt May throughout the years. So from the comic original.
Oh, wow.
To like the animated
ancient
shows.
In the original one.
Yeah, the animated shows 1967, 1981, 94, so on, all the way to 2025. They didn't do any of the live action ones, but I think it's a similar thing with some of the live action ones.
Yeah, she began to be younger as time went on.
Yeah, and obviously, people made a couple of obvious points, and I'll address those because I think everyone's thinking about this right away, which is one, she was his aunt. It never really made sense for her to be so elderly and him so young.
Yes, like almost like his grandma.
She was his grandmama, she was his aunt.
Right.
And that's a valid point, although, technically the parents have kids far apart sometimes and it could have worked out this way. But and then the other point people had was like, well, people look better now at older ages than they used to. So like people at 50 now look better than people at 50 back in the day. Which, I think is arguable, to be honest. But it definitely says something germane to the point I want to make. So I think those are both valid points, but just that's not the point I'm about to make.
Okay, and I don't know what you're going to say, but also sexism. Like that's a big part of this too, because it's in my opinion, because it's one of those things where women aren't supposed to be quote unquote sexual. Mm-hmm. Like this is his aunt, and so they're not supposed to be anything quote unquote appealing about her, because she's a woman, and she's his aunt, and it's almost like from my perspective, I feel like that, like
I can see that as a point of view. But so the point I want to make is actually a little bit different. I think this says a lot about how much we devalue people as they get older. Yes. And how much we're afraid of aging and how much we're afraid of death. And Aunt May, whose function in the show in the comic book was never really supposed to be about sex anyway. We're talking about a book where all the other women are sexual. You know what I mean? So like, is Madam Web and her the only old people in the book? And Madam Web young and fuckable now, and so is Aunt May. There's something about an older Aunt May disappearing from our social consciousness that feels like it mirrors how we think about old people and aging now. Like, disappear, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Don't, you're not valuable and you're not worth protecting. But
if you live long enough, you're going to get this age too.
Yeah, but no one no one thinks about that till they're on the other side of that, and,
Right.
and now they're invisible. We've rendered, especially an aging woman, as invisible. Even the whole idea of sex appeal, making someone valuable. Like, well, now Aunt May is valuable because she's fuckable. Now we got Marissa Tomei playing her. Now, Marissa Tomei is a certain age, but also she's one of the hottest women in Hollywood. So it's like they didn't go out and just go get any actress that's his age. It's like get the woman who was hot at every single age and get her in here as hot Aunt May. But there's the thing when I look at the general trend of youngering her up and de-aging her and hotifying her, I think about what the lesson of having an Aunt May in the first place was supposed to be.
Okay.
Because Aunt May represented a maternal or almost grand maternal figure.
Yes.
And Peter's conscience and his guilt. He let her husband die out of his own vanity when he didn't protect Uncle Ben, and hubris. And then she becomes a living reminder of that guilt, but also a living reminder of the responsibility and the consequences of inaction and being self-absorbed. And so he wants to protect her in ways that she can't protect herself because she is frail. She is older.
Right.
It matters just as much for him to be Peter as Spider-Man.
Yes.
Because Peter's helping him get that rent paid. Peter's fixing up stuff around the house. When he lets her down by not being around, it means something. This is a person that is depending on you. But also, because some people will go, well, why are you, this takes away this woman's agency. That's not true. It also makes when she does stuff much more interesting. So when she starts dating again, it's more interesting when she's older than if she's 40.
Yes.
Like,
I can
it's,
see that.
it's
Yes.
much more interesting to me a 70-year-old woman deciding, like, I actually am interested in finding love and dating again.
Right.
And how does Peter feel about that? When she gets a job, it matters more when she's older. It's much more, to me, a statement when she's older than if she's of working age, where it's like, well, your life ain't over, girl. Get out there. This now is there's a heroic nature to it now. When she approves of Spider-Man or disapproves, at that age, it matters differently than if she's younger to me.
I 100% agree. And it's also, like you said, it does pick on a lot of things, because particularly as people begin to be older, their children have a hard time, particularly if their spouses pass and things like that. Adult children, some just cannot process their parents going, I am a sexual being. Yeah. I had sex for you to be here. And it does not go away for some people.
It's just, to me, there's interesting elements, and I think people want everything to be so easy or to make like this perfect logical sense, but I think what makes stories like this valuable is that they don't. It's more valuable to me to have a story about his 60-year-old aunt than his 35, 40-year-old aunt. It just is. Especially in a time where, as people may feel like it's empowering or going against the grain, but to me, I'm like, I don't know, Hollywood cast hot younger women to play older women all the time.
Yes, they do.
And yet the men get old, and like Tom Cruise gets to be 65 and a sex symbol.
Yes.
And Meg Ryan got to go. Not to get specifically into her.
Yeah, it's like once you get to a certain age, or either you gonna be the mama or the grandma, like you,
or disappear.
Yes,
not just mama or grandmama. I mean,
just ain't getting no roles.
Disappear. Even the moms have to be kind of hot, or whatever. But anyway, it was just like an interesting thing that made me think about aging and how I think our generation especially has kind of stalled out in this, like, not generation, but I say generations and beyond us. We're so afraid of getting old and being old and embracing old age and embracing the wisdom of it and the inevitability of it. There's so many people, I cry on my birthdays, or I see, I tell everybody I'm turning 35 again, whatever. Like, there's a thing to where it's like, I know that number makes me less valuable. I know that makes me closer to death. I know that means I've been here long and I'm not cool anymore and I can't keep up with anything. But that used to be kind of dope about Aunt May, when she would be up on some shit and you'd be like, yo, Aunt May, a cool ass old lady. You know, like that was like fun for me in the comics and whatnot. But yeah, it feels like we just kind of disappeared the elderly Aunt May and many other aspects, but this picture specifically just brought it home for me.
Yeah, I can see that too. And you know, as you become older, when you're young, it's very hard to see ever getting old. When you're young, anything over, you know, depending on how old you are, anything over 25, you might as well fucking die tomorrow. And you're like, that don't make no goddamn sense, you know. But the thing is, nobody cares about that until they reach that age, and they're like, this ain't that old, right? It ain't that old because you're in the age range, so it ain't old to you, but it's old to people who haven't quote unquote hit that range yet. And I know for me, I actually enjoy sitting down and talking to older people and picking their brains and letting them tell you stories and things like that, because a lot of times they have a lot of oral history and shit like that they are willing to share if you're willing to listen. But most of the time people are living their own lives and too busy doing their own shit to even listen to them.
Yeah, I just think about it societally, like less interpersonally, but more like, you know, this, like, I know people don't want to hear this shit right now, but I think it's relevant. How everybody thinks politicians should be young and not old.
Right.
You know, I don't necessarily agree with that. And I know that we're saying that because we want people that represent us that are our age. But also, like, I feel like people that are older than us, who are still alive, by the way, also want representation. Now, what is happening is, I think, is overly weighted one way, and so that's why we're pushing back. But the pushback has turned into a dismissal of wisdom and age as if it is a detriment.
Right.
And I think in many ways is how we get stuff like, and it's a roundabout way, but I think it's how you get Trump.
Yes.
Is because once you dismiss age and you dismiss the wisdom that comes with age, you then go, what I want is something fresh. I want something new. I want somebody that doesn't know everything. I want somebody with no experience. The less experience, the better. We flip the polarity on it. And even though Trump is an old man, a lot of the appeal of Trump was he has no experience. He's new to government. He's new to us. This second time around, he's not even new. But the idea is he's not like these people who have studied, who have experience, who have dedicated their time and lives to learning about their constituency.
Right.
And so while it's not a direct correlation, I'm not calling Trump a young man. Hopefully no one's stupid enough to write in about that shit. But I am saying there's like this thing of like, you can be a lifelong public servant, but you need to wrap this shit up when you're like 50 and just go find something else, because you're old now. We don't want to do it. They do it with activists. You know, we don't be an activist when you're 60. Why? I'm still able to help.
Right.
And I still want to help.
I can teach some people.
And I still have experience. Just because somebody is young and energetic doesn't mean they can't learn from people. Even the whole thing of like, well, put somebody, you know, bring some people up. I am bringing people up. So now what's the problem? You know, I do have people that are going to take my place when I'm no longer able to help. But as of right now, I feel like I can still help. And so you want me to sit by on the sideline because you don't want to see an aging person.
Right.
You don't want to think about death. You don't want to think about how long I've been fighting this fight. You want everything to be fresh, new entertainment for you. You want 20-year-old activists that burn out in 6 months and go back to college and never look back.
Never come back.
I've been dedicated to this. You might can learn how to be dedicated to some shit. Maybe instead of trying to push me out, learn from me so that you can be here 40 years from now still helping people within your community. So it is kind of interesting. Just, I don't know. This picture made me think about a lot of stuff. And I know it's not definitely like 100% correlated, but this is what it really made me think about, was like, damn, we really phased old people out of just the zeitgeist. Yeah. Like, nah, you old, no need. But it's like, I don't know, go to a Stevie Wonder concert and tell me that like he need to just hang it up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like in lieu of pick whatever artist you want to that's like younger, but not necessarily master that craft, that hasn't put in that time. There's a reason people pay all that money for those like Paul McCartney tickets, because the motherfucker is an expert and been doing it for years, and there's shit he's forgotten that people will never learn. So it is kind of interesting to see like that idea play out in a fictional character, because you don't have to make her young. Like, and I get it. You want to make a new version of the character, you can do all kinds of shit. But it is interesting, just she stayed young now for, I don't know, 10 years. Like, we've just gone back to like young Aunt May, need to be hot, need to be fuckable. That's who Aunt May is now to people. And it's interesting that we've landed there, and I think it says something about who we value.
Yeah, it does. In mass, I think it does. And like you say, it makes people think about their own immortality and mortality,
yes.
I'm sorry, and things like that. And I think that people are just afraid, because one thing about me is when people ask me my age, I just tell them my age. And a lot of times people are very shocked and very appalled and very afraid. I'm like, why? I am, like, it is what it is. Like, I'm not afraid. I'm actually proud of it, because as far as I'm concerned, somebody didn't live to see this age. So why am I ashamed of my age?
Yeah. So, all right, let's get into some other stuff. I don't even know where to start. I guess we just start with some of this political news or whatever, and see how upsetting that makes us before we get into some other shit. Yeah, and it is pretty upsetting now that I'm looking at it. GOP Senator Lisa Murkowski slams Trump federal worker firings, saying they're doing more harm than good. While she supports downsizing the federal government, she said the abrupt firings are disrupting essential services. Dozens of Alaskans, possibly over 100, have lost their jobs, she noted, which could hinder disaster preparedness and energy production. This is the pain that I'm talking about, and fuck this woman. Obviously, I don't care. She would vote for Trump a million times, and and so you can't trust their lip service. What I look at is, I think the reason she is saying this is because people that vote for her, chose not to vote, people, whatever, in her district, there's going to be people who are affected by these cuts who now will have to be at least invested in what the fuck happens next.
Yep.
And not all
regardless
those people,
if they want it to or not.
Not all those people are Democrats. There's no way to go through the government roster and go, it's just the Democrats we're getting rid of. So when they're cutting these people abruptly, you're either like, they're so worried about Elon Musk primarying them that because Elon Musk has promised, like, any Republicans that's not in lockstep with these changes, I'm going to put millions of dollars into your local election and make you lose it. I'm going to primary you. And I'm like, you're not going to have to do that for some of these folks. Because some of these folks, the citizens are going to be like, fuck out of here.
Right.
Like, you
I
let
lost
this
my
happen.
job on your watch. Even though we both voted for this and this is the outcome, I don't give a fuck. I lost my job, bitch. I'm mad, and I'm looking at you.
Yeah, and you're saying we both voted for this, and I'm saying some of these people didn't vote. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, not all these people, like, some of these people were people that probably thought they would be straight either way.
Yes.
And so now those are the people that they're not worried about anybody that was a Democrat. They're only worried about people that voted for them and people that didn't vote. And I'm like, okay. But this is the pain I was talking about. I don't root for it, but it is inevitable, and it has to happen in order for us to have progress, because you're going to need some people to feel enough pain to get off their ass and do the right thing and say, you can't just be in office indiscriminately firing people because you don't give a fuck about shit. That's crazy.
Yes, it is. And these are the things that people tried to prevent. And these are the things that people told you, would happen. because like you say, they are like, here's a list, here's a dollar amount, or here's a head count, make it happen, and they making it happen. And it doesn't matter. They just slice and cutting. For all them people talking about he's a good businessman, this is what the fuck business people do. They slice, they cut.
He's not even doing this. That's the thing. Elon Musk is doing it. So it's not even Trump and his I'm a big good businessman shit. Like he don't care about running the government or not running the government.
Agreed.
This is just a big experiment for Elon Musk. And so he's the one cutting the purse strings, and he's admittedly said on record that he's gonna make mistakes, meaning he doesn't know what all this shit means. People catch him in mistakes on Twitter all the time. The DOGE department or whatever, people catch it all the time. Trump, like, he's even now moving to distance himself from being the head of the DOGE thing, even though we all see it. He's taking credit for it. He's spoken as the department lead. He's now saying he's not, because people are legally starting to challenge it. Like, you were not elected. You were not appointed. This is not a real department.
Right.
And now he's like, I'm not in charge. I'm not doing it because people don't like the results of what he's doing. A judge has denied judge denies request to temporarily block Doge's mass firings and access to data. A federal judge in Washington on Tuesday denied an urgent request to block Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency from firing employees or accessing sensitive records from a half dozen government agencies. U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan, who previously oversaw Donald Trump's criminal election interference case, said, and she's not on the take. She did that case. She did that case on the up and up. She said the states didn't show the immediately irreparable harm would result, noting that the court cannot act based on media reports. Plaintiffs asked the court to take judicial notice of widespread media reports that DOGE has taken or will soon take certain actions, such as mass terminations, but these reports cannot substitute for the specific facts in an affidavit or a verified complaint that clearly show that immediate and irreparable injury, loss, or damage will result, she wrote. So I'm sure she would love to have actionable stuff, but to be honest, this is what happens when you put these people in charge. It's not actionable, or you gotta, like, you're gonna have to wait for them to do something fucked up before you can be like, oh, that's illegal. It's gonna be too late. People gonna already be lost their jobs by then.
Yes, sir.
I thought this video was interesting. It was from Jesse Waters, who I believe is on Fox News, but he was talking about the information system of the right. So here we go.
It's not really the same. Dana, we are waging a 21st century,
and let me know if y'all can't hear it. Sorry if you can't.
Information warfare campaign against the left. And they are using tactics from the 1990s. They are holding tiny press conferences, tiny little rallies. They're screaming into the ether on MSNBC. This is what you call top-down command and control. You get your talking points from a newspaper, and you put it on the broadcast network, and then it disappears. What you're seeing on the right is asymmetrical. It's like grassroots guerrilla warfare. Someone says something on social media, Musk retweets it, Rogan podcasts it, Fox broadcasts it, and by the time it reaches everybody, millions of people have seen it. It's free money. And we're actually talking about expressing information. They are suppressing information.
And I think that is the thing I was trying to say earlier, like late last year and early this year. This idea of, like, Democrats need to have a campaign that is, they need to get a Joe Rogan of their own. I'm like, Republicans don't have a Joe Rogan as much as Joe Rogan is a Republican.
Right.
Regardless of what, Jon Stewart would have you believe, where Theo Von and Joe Rogan and all these, like, right-wing centered podcasters are just these free agents who just happen to just, hey, they just have legitimate concerns and they're not operating on any side. Sure, they won't interview Kamala Harris, but they interview Trump, JD Vance, and Elon Musk. But yeah, sure, it's just a coincidence. And they're comedians. They're not really comedians with the biggest platforms in podcasting. And I don't think there's some easy solution. I don't think there's anything you can build from the ground up that can rival what they're doing, because what they're doing is essentially, as he said, free money for Republicans, meaning you don't have to put money into the Joe Rogan fund. Like when you hear people talk about what Democrats can do, it's always some like they should pay to do ads on this station. They should do an interview here. They should go there. They don't have anything that just does the work for free like that. That is also platformed. There's stuff where you would platform the person, like why don't Democrats spend X amount of money on this radio station and help them get a bigger footprint? They don't. Donald Trump ain't spend $1 for Elon Musk. Don't got to.
For what? Why?
Just willingly handing everybody that listen to him over to that Elon Musk, Donald Trump, JD Vance triumvirate. So I think it's interesting, and they're saying stuff like that right in front of your face. Like it's not a secret. And I do think when people talk about how this thing with like, what did the left do to make this happen or whatever, and I'm like, part of it is, yes, it's the way we talk to each other. It's the way online, like social media has like turned us into these, like, we're into this group and don't talk to this person and don't explain nothing and Google it, bitch. Google is free or whatever. And I'm sure that's some of it. I'm not trying to say that has nothing to do with it. But a lot of this stuff is like, I don't know. Some people just want to believe the lies.
Yes, they do. They would believe it over the truth any day because it makes them feel good.
Some people just racist. Some people will see a plane crash, and if you come out and tell them it was black people somehow, some way, and it's JD Vance saying if it wasn't for DEI, a racist person just gonna believe that. There's no liberal podcast equivalent that will make them feel okay about it.
Right, because we base shit in facts.
They just not gonna eat that up, is my point. Like and that's why we end up in this situation where the only real solution becomes like, why don't the Democrats just be more like the Republicans? And they don't mean like, I think a lot of people think what a lot of people think when you say that is that Democrats can repeat the Republicans' tactics. They cannot. The reason they cannot is because their base has to be a coalition of like-minded people who have their own self-interest and just happen to be okay with other people benefiting from it. Right. That's really how it goes. It's not we're all together over here. No, there's a lot of issues where people are kind of single issue voters, but they're over with Democrats because that's where their issue will be met. Right. Right. What I mean by be more like Republicans is, you're gonna end up with like the Bill Clinton type of Democrat, where he's like, I'm heavy on get the fuck out of my country immigration. I'm heavy on like go to jail. You know what I mean? And as many people wanted to cry like he was the worst type of Democrat, right? But he won.
Yes, he did.
And the reason he won is because he was like, actually, fuck those issues where we're supposed to be super liberal. I'm not. That'll get enough white people to come over here, and we'll get some of those things that help everybody, but at the expense of some of the people within the group, And I worry that that's how people's reaction to Donald Trump's 1% victory is going to be, is this idea. They keep pitching the idea of like, no, Democrats need to go more left. And I'm like, but that's never worked in America. It's going to end up being, I hope not, but I think it's going to end up looking more like, what issues and what people do we cut off? Or do we say, hey, look around, we're not as bad as the other group, fuck you. And I worry that that's what's going to happen when you look at, this whole like idea of we need a Joe Rogan. It's like, no, what you do is you start, and I don't want them to, but what you do is you're going to start making policies that make a Joe Rogan go, oh, well, that's not that bad of a policy. And that's how you get your own Joe Rogan. You get Joe Rogan. You know what I'm saying? Not like you get him, and the way you get him is by doing a bunch of shit that I think is fucked up, like a bunch of regressive policies and politics. And I hope they don't do it, but I don't know that the numbers will ever add up to this thing where if you just go as liberal as possible, you still get a plurality of people to vote en masse, because we haven't been seeing that.
Not only that, most people aren't liberal. Like people claim like these extreme people. Y'all are on the fringe, y'all. I hate to break it to you. Y'all are on the motherfucking fringe. Most people do want the police. They just don't want whooping their ass. Most people do want laws. They just want shit executed right. Most people do want the government to function properly. We want these things. We want to vote people in office that are going to do we want these things. And what happens is that white people panic, Democratic white people panic, liberal white people panic, and they go, well, what can we do to beat them? And if we can't beat them, join them. And joining them means, like you say, erasing women, erasing brown people, erasing LGBTQ people. Like, let's just erase it. Let's just make it how it used to be, white on white. And y'all just shut the fuck up and do what we told y'all to do, because we actually started listening to y'all. And when we, quote unquote, started listening to y'all and let that black woman run and she lost. So we ain't doing this bullshit no more. Like I really do think that's how they feel. That a lot of white people are in panic mode and they go, what can we do to correct this? Instead of them reaching out and talking and figuring out how to actually make inroads with all these different groups. They don't want to do that part. They don't want to do that work. They'll just say, let's just be like the other side. And you know what that means? My black ass is not going to be a part of your coalition, because y'all literally are going to just write me off. You don't care about gerrymandering. You don't care about all these fucked up laws. You don't care about people's votes getting suppressed. You actually don't care.
Yeah, I disagree. I think they do care about that one specifically, because black people are such a vase and such a reliable voting block. So the things they don't care about won't be your ability to vote. It's going to be shit like the cops fucking you up, or, whatever black specific issue that you're like, this helps black people. Because Democrats have to have the black vote. They don't have a choice. I'm not saying they care out of a good place. It's just, if you said, fuck it, the black people we don't care if they can't vote, okay, then you just will never ever ever win another election. So we're stuck together, is how black people are with Democrats and how Democrats are with black people, in my opinion. So I don't think they will drop that. They'll be if you ever see a legal challenge about gerrymandering, it'll always be from Democrats. You'll never see it from Republicans. Whenever you see somebody about getting out the black vote or whatever, it's going to always be Democrats, because they don't have a choice. It's not that I'm saying they're great people or that these white people care so much about us as Democrats. I don't think they necessarily do. But I think in that area, I would say specifically, I think they will be fighting.
Okay. I guess the way my mind is ticking is this. I was talking to a lot of these extreme people. A lot of them extreme people are the people I talk about that don't care. Because like when you make these extreme points and wanting to erase and wanting to get rid of, I'm a part of the group that you want to get rid of. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, you don't actually care about the coalition, because if you did, you would consider it.
I agree. I was just saying about the voting thing. This is such a pale too far for them that if they said, we give it up, fuck it, do whatever you want to the black vote, they would lose. So it just wouldn't make sense. They're never going to win enough white people to be able to do it without black people. There's no amount of policies they can have that will out Trump the right wing when it comes to winning white people votes.
Agreed. And yes, the Democratic Party as a total, yes.
Yeah.
Like as a totality, as a group, as a collective, yes.
Yeah.
My problem is like with the subsections that has a tendency to be very loud and think that they actually have more power than they do when they want to come in and fucking demand shit, and you better get the whole ass out my goddamn face because you don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've seen it with Bernie and all that stuff where they don't care about black people. They're angry. They care about the economy, but they're basically a different version of the Democrats' message to black people. If anything, it's a lot more callous of a message, because the economy will fix the racism. And when we say, but we've lived here, and it doesn't.
It does not.
And shut the fuck up, I march with King. And it's like, okay, y'all just think that Bernie's like a Pokemon that's going to fix everything. But matter of fact, Jon Stewart was on a podcast the other day, and he spread that lie that I fucking hate, that white people do a lot of, where the Democrats stole this election from Bernie in 2016 and put their thumb on the finger and made sure Hillary won. And a lot of people were very upset with Jon Stewart because he said that, and he said Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn are not part of the right wing like media sphere or whatever, not part of the Trump media, and I can't fundamentally disagree with him more because I have eyes and I see things too. And I don't have the bias of we're all comedians and I will always protect my fellow comedians from anything.
Right.
You know, I think he's kind of full of shit on that. I think, you know, it's truth to power when you want the responsibility, and then it's no responsibility when you don't want it.
Agreed.
And he's a guy that doesn't seem to run his own platforms that way. But he'll make a defense of Dave Chappelle being transphobic because he thinks that's comedy license. But also because he going to see Dave Chappelle somewhere and he want to kick it with him and be friends. Right. Same thing with Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn. You got people at political events and the jokes are, haha, Puerto Ricans are trash. I mean, that seemed different to me than just he was, you know, like he's just a comedian. What's the problem? But that's why those guys aren't good enough.
Right.
That's why they'll never be good enough because they're not actually able to have, you know, that's why Wise and Knack still don't fuck with him because at the end of the day, those kind of guys, they have a limit and their limit is just, I'm still this white dude and my imagination has to be limited by the fact that I can't see these other people as bad. Joe Rogan can't be bad. Bill O'Reilly, his fucking friend, can't be bad no matter how many women he's been accused of sexually assaulting and shit. That's got to be the homie.
Right.
So, you know, these are the people that we're in coalition with that are supposed to be our allies. So, you know, I definitely take your point about how they don't genuinely care about us and it's not enough. Like I said, the only difference is they definitely want us to vote. The only value they see in us is that we would probably vote in a way that would help them get what they want, but they don't see much value in us beyond that.
Right. And what's so fucked up about it is like, and the thing is like, you want our votes, but that's it. You don't want our opinions. You don't want, you know, anything else that comes with us. Mm-hmm. You just want us to just do what you tell us to do. And that's why a lot of times a lot of the white people in the Democratic Party have a problem with these other groups because the second they cater to them because you need our votes, we'll start telling you the things to help and whiteness, your whiteness, their whiteness will kick in. And instead, you know, you have some white people that have, okay, good, and they'll do the job. But you do have some people that go, I'm not doing that shit, or I do it just enough to be elected.
Yeah. Banks approve of Republicans increasing bank fees. So Biden had a rule that limited overdraft fees. It's now under challenge. And lawmakers use bank lobbyists for their testimonials, meaning that the Trump administration and Republicans are about to change the cap on overdraft fees that banks can charge their customers. Ooh. The rule the overdraft fee was limited to $5, and now they want to bring it back to $35.
How we? For those of you that weren't around long enough to remember this bullshit, you know, me and Roger used to remember. Not only was it like $35, it was $25 pop, went to $35 pop, and then on to that, it was unlimited. And then they would have machines and systems that was just strategically go through. And, you know, now they have like 2 p.m. with deposit and all that shit. First Trust, that's about to go away too. And shit like that.
Well, they have in this article what happens, but basically banks would scheme and scam to maximize overdraft fees. They set new rules without notifying customers or even engineered the order transaction to generate more fees. So that, let's say you had $40 in your bank account. You thought you had $40. You thought you had more than $40, but you only had $40. So you write a check for $39. You write a check and you write 7 checks for $1. Okay? The way the bank would do it is they would take the $39 one first, so that now you only have $1 left in your account that you started with 40. Then those 7 $1 ones, they process those 7 $1 checks in a row so that you end up with 6 overdraft fees instead of just where they could have done all 7 of those $1 checks first and then the $39 one, overdraft, here's a fee. No, they process it on purpose that way. And it saved Americans $5 billion a year by capping those fees and reining those banks in. But now, the rule was finalized last December, and it was going to become effective in October. So we haven't actually lived under this new rule yet. But now they're Republicans and the banks are combining to try to stop the rule from taking effect.
Of course, because, they talked about the fees and how over the years the bank charge fees went through the roof, and the banks are basically dependent on the fees instead of just fucking banking, and what's so fucked up about it is these things end up hurting most Americans, people who literally can't afford the fees. And then it gets so fucked up that if, let's say you do got direct deposit, your whole fucking check gone when it hits because you got to pay them fees before you have any extra money left over.
We'll do a couple more. I think I already said this, but yeah, the federal prosecutors dropped the charges against Eric Adams. Yeah, okay, so we'll do a couple more. VA healthcare workers have been blindsided by mass layoffs. We've been betrayed. Yeah, they don't give a fuck that you're the Veterans Administration. They don't care about veterans.
Nope.
They'll
send you to war to get fucked up, but they don't care about you.
And it sucks because we know that a lot of people in the military vote Republican and consider Republicans like the best people to be in charge for the military. But at the end of the day, the ones cutting your healthcare benefits be Republicans. The ones that don't give a fuck about you having fought for this country. And you knew that because at every step of the way, Donald Trump's been disrespectful to veterans, whether it was John McCain, whether it was that last kerfuffle they had at the cemetery where they disrespected the cemetery.
That lady, yes.
Yeah, so... I mean, I guess, I won't paint with a broad brush like everybody over there votes Republican because I don't believe they do.
Nope.
But yeah, it is a betrayal, and you've been betrayed by your country. And by your country, I mean by the voters in your country.
Yes.
Who voted for this man because they wanted to see Mexicans get deported or whatever the fuck reason, whatever racist ass reasoning they got.
Right, and it's also, one of those things to where you would hear veterans complain about how long it would take them to get service and to get care and all these types of things. And the Democrats are the ones that hire all these people to quicken the process so that shit could get done faster. Now we're about to go to where some people are going to die before they actually get the services that they need.
Yep. Trump administration gives schools a deadline to end DEI programs or risk losing federal money. They gave schools and universities 2 weeks to eliminate diversity initiatives or risk losing federal money, raising the stakes in the fight against quote unquote wokeness.
Chad, they don't plan on giving nobody no money anyway. I mean, I hate to be like that. They don't plan on giving. I don't know why y'all think they cutting everything. They do not plan on giving nobody no money. All the states are on their goddamn own.
That's interesting because I think they will follow through on this threat. I think maybe it's just for this year. Maybe next year they give nobody funding at all. But something about this, I would not put it past them to follow through on it. It's going to end up in court, But I mean, you can't convince me that they're going to be like, actually, you know what? We don't mind
happens. That's why AAA roadside assistance is AAA lockout assistance.
Oh shit!
I don't know why that started, but they're just gonna. You can't convince me that I can't put it past them being like, actually, y'all did keep the black studies, African American studies, and we're cutting your funding. Now maybe they end up cutting everybody's funding eventually, and it won't seem like it matters. But I mean, shout out to the schools that's gonna fight it.
Yeah, because some are.
The ones that comply, it's just going to be interesting because this is not like private business where they tell Target or something and Target could just be like, man, fuck y'all. We pay y'all. You don't pay us. Schools depend on that federal money. So there's going to be some schools that cave on this shit.
Of course.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Author Ashley St. Clair claims Elon Musk has neglected her and their 5-month-old baby at the paternity revelation. Only thing I'll say about this trick is that she had the nerve to say Kamala Harris slept her way to the top. There's no woman, no man she won't bend over for. She deleted that tweet after everyone caught her on, not even caught her. She went on Twitter and tweeted that this man ain't come see her and this baby. And then also a lot of Republicans that typically have a lot to say about people having babies out of wedlock and baby mamas. All of a sudden they were congratulating her. People like CJ Pearson were congratulating her now. But yeah, she tweeted 5 months ago, I welcome a new baby into the world. Elon Musk is the father. I have not previously disclosed this to protect our child's privacy and safety. But in recent days, it's become clear that tabloid media intends to do so, regardless of the harm it will cause. I intend to allow our child to grow in a normal and safe environment. For that reason, I asked the media to honor our child's privacy and refrain from an invasive reporting. But then he replied, whoa, and she said, Elon, we have been trying to communicate for the past several days and you have not responded. When are you going to reply to us instead of publicly responding to smears from an individual who just posted photos of me in my underwear at 15 years old? It's interesting that Elon's responding to this clearly in jest screenshot that was discussed with his team months ago in a documented call. Now he decides to respond to it publicly from an account that posted underage photos of me as if he wasn't asking me to have more children last week. I would like to take this offline for our child's sake and have been attempted to for weeks. Haha. I mean,
do not care.
I mean, I don't have any sympathy for this lady. You know, the obvious the obvious aside, you know.
I'm supposed to feel sorry for that bitch. I don't.
Like, it's amazing how often the grift is right in everybody's face. Everybody sees the grift. The person is obviously grifting. They admit to the grift. And what, 3 months from now, 2 months from now, she'll still be around somehow. Some people will still follow her. Yeah, they will make an allowance for her because when they say baby mama, they thinking black people or something.
Yes, sir.
You know, but this man ain't nothing but Nick Cannon with autism or whatever. Like this,
he got a bunch of kids out there, y'all.
Right, but you let him run the country. Y'all thought, you know, it's so funny, man. It's so absurd. But like Elon Musk running the government by paying for Donald Trump's presidency, I can't even imagine the black version of this. I can't even imagine it.
No.
Like, what would it look like? Is it Oprah running the government, but Kamala Harris became president? America would not stand for that shit.
Right. They would kill them.
They would burn shit. They would be like, shit would be fucked up in America if they was like Oprah's department of, well, she named everything after herself, so it won't be DOGE, but it'll be,
it'll be Oprah Harpo.
Yeah, the Harpo department has cut federal jobs. People would be ready to. It would be January 6th times 2.
Right.
Everybody be up in that bitch. This dude is just fucking us up. Not even from here.
Not even from. You don't belong here.
Not even from here, and yet somehow just like this is the goofiest shit that we have ever had to deal with. Is this motherfucker right here? Just having babies. Just what a wild fucking time. What kind of ghetto shit is this to be having break babies and shit and you supposed to be running the country and you ain't talking to your baby mamas like your fucking NBA player that flew out an IG model. And you're supposed to be some type of paragon of conservative values and you just a mattress actress giving it up to fucking Elon Musk. We know you can't think he's attractive. We know you didn't fuck him because you're like, oh my god, it's just a bag.
It's just a bag.
You know what I mean? It's just a bag somehow, and now you mad you ain't get the bag because this nigga ain't calling you back. It's crazy.
Yep.
Woo, that primacy be kicking their ass. Issa Rae and Shonda Rhimes said since Trump trying to take over the Kennedy Center organization, they will not be doing their events, and they stepped down from their positions.
I don't blame them. I know that was a hard choice, but I don't blame them. Don't nobody want to deal with that.
I don't even think it was a hard choice. I feel like they unbothered. They was like, well, I guess we're out of that. Fuck that.
Yeah, my time is free. I could be doing other shit.
Yeah, they was doing good work, but it's like that money ain't going nowhere but Trump bank account now.
Yep, you ain't gonna waste my time and or my money and my resources and the money I'm raising. It's not going towards that. I can take it and start my own fund then.
And the last story is in this political segment is this one, and it's heartbreaking, but it also is infuriating. A Texas sixth grader reportedly takes her own life after bullies threatened to report her family to ICE. An 11-year-old Texas girl took her own life earlier this month after enduring relentless bullying at school, where classmates mocked her family's immigration status and even threatened to report them to ICE, according to the family. Jocelyn Rojo Carranza, a sixth grade student at Gainesville Intermediate School, died on February 8th, 5 days after she attempted suicide. Her mother, Marbella Carranza, said she had no idea her daughter was being tormented until it's too late. I waited a whole week for a miracle that my daughter would be well, but unfortunately nothing could be done. My daughter will always live for me. I will always love her. According to a report, school officials were aware that she was being bullied. The harassment had gotten so bad she was meeting with a school counselor multiple times a week, yet her family was never informed.
How, Sway?
Her bullies allegedly taunted her about deportation, telling her she would be left alone when her parents were sent away. Despite the severe nature of the bullying, her mother only learned about it after her daughter's death. Now she's demanding answers, working with investigators and school officials to understand why she was never told about the emotional toll her daughter was facing. So obviously that's true, and that's infuriating, and on the mother's behalf, obviously. But this is the point.
Yeah, the cruelty is the point.
So there was a YouTube clip of us talking about Waka Flocka and him supporting Trump. And in the clip, part of the conversation is about immigration. Now, we could have made it a more direct line, because Waka Flocka also got upset because Trump wants police immunity. And now that Trump's won, he's like, well, you're not going to do, you can't have police immunity. They fucking up black people. Why, bitch. But there's comments on that YouTube video. I haven't deleted them or taken them down. If that's what people want to put up there, they can put that up there. But there's a bunch of comments on that YouTube clip of people being like, he needed to report anyone who wasn't here illegally. What's wrong with deporting people? All this shit, right? This is what they really want. Mm-hmm. It's not about deporting people. Far as we know, she's in this country legally.
Right.
It's the cruelty of it.
Yep.
It's the bullying of it. It's the othering of it, the otherization of it. It's that these are not white people. Because they don't have a problem with South Africaners, the white South Africans. They don't have a problem with them coming here. They passed a rule to let them come here.
Right.
They got a problem with brown people being in America, legally or illegally.
Right. They don't care.
They might start with this shit, but it's not gonna end here. And more important than even if they couldn't do it, because they don't have the facilities to actually do what they're planning to do. They don't actually have the amount of holding and employees to actually get all these people out of the country. What they do have is the zeitgeist. What they are weaponizing is our attitudes towards each other. What they do want is you to feel like this brown person is not as much of a citizen as I am, regardless of what they did legally, regardless of if they were born here or not. They want to repeal birthright citizenship. So now it's not about whether what you did at the time was legal. They want to retroactively make it illegal to be brown and not from here. And brown and from here.
Right, even though y'all niggas came on a boat too.
So my point being, the story is infuriating on multiple levels, obviously on just a family school level, but these are kids.
Right.
Our society, this message of otherization has gotten so deep. It is is so insidious that now the children are doing it. And that's why I'll never come on this show and say something like, well, the next generation will save us. The next generation learns from this generation.
Yes, they do.
And this generation is still fucked up. So they learn from our fucked up stuff too. They learn from what we allow, and they learn from what we promote. And what we've allowed is bigotry to take the highest office in the land, while having no actual plans to make any of our lives better, but just to make other people's lives worse. That's what the fuck just happened. So this is just part of the fallout. But this kid is not alone. There's trans children. There's LGBTQ children. There's black children. There's there's all kinds of people all kinds of children that are gonna get other messages from just girls. You're 15 and you get pregnant somehow. You in a state where you can't get an abortion.
Right.
Like this isn't the cost. This is just one example of the cost of letting this bigotry run amok. All right, let's try to get into some other things because I know that was a kind of a downer, but I don't know. I'm struggling with doing the show because it's like I don't want to ignore this.
Right.
And at the same time, I'm not trying to turn our whole show into this. So I get that, people feel a way about that stuff. But we got to do the vegetables as well as the desserts here. All right, let's get into I said I was gonna get into something a little bit better, but actually I'm gonna do fucking with black people. But it's not all bad stuff. So we'll do fucking with black people.
We're just fucking with them people because they black. We're just fucking with them people because they black. We're just fucking with them black people. We're just fucking with them blacks. We're just fucking with black people. Hey, hey, do I?
All right. The first story is oh wait, hold on. Why is it doing this? Okay. The first story is from the NAACP.
Okay.
They have released a consumer guide tracking companies with commitment to DEI. I love it.
Yeah, because as an individual person, it's hard to keep up with that. Like if this is your jam, it is hard because you don't know.
They launched the Black Consumer Advisory, and they have a website for it and everything. You go to NAACP.org campaigns /campaign/ Black Consumer Advisory, or you can just Google that. But they are going to inform and caution black consumers about about the ongoing and intentional rollback of nationwide diversity, equity, and inclusion commitments. So yeah, they have like a document where they're gonna keep you in, keep you in the loop.
Mm-hmm. And regardless of how people feel about the NAACP, they're like, we are a large enough organization where we can have the manpower to do shit like this. Like, I think sometimes people have a tendency just to be like, well, y'all always been here. Y'all don't do shit. Y'all are worthless. No, that's not always true, y'all. They actually do got a purpose that they can do this shit because guess what? You ain't finding this shit online in one collective place. Like, nobody has the manpower or the research and ability to do it.
I also wonder how deep the research goes. But yeah, they who's recommitted to DEI? Delta Airlines, Apple, Ben & Jerry. Who's rolled it back? McDonald's, Meta, Walmart. I do wonder how deep this list is gonna get because I feel like we're at the beginning of it, and like Costco isn't on here, and Costco is already recommitted to DEI. I don't see Target on there as a rollback, so
yeah,
maybe they're doing more research than the surface level of like, oh, this article said. Maybe they're actually talking to people within the companies to figure out who's doing it or who's not. But anyway, I appreciate them doing it. 0 to 100.
I'm not fucked with it all because somebody's got to do the work, and I appreciate them for doing the work, the organization. Yeah. And it's one of those things where, like you say, people have a tendency to take old institutions for granted and just assume they're always going to be there. And then if something happened and they're not, everybody's looking crazy because nobody actually wants to do the goddamn work, but yet you want to complain about the motherfucker that's doing the job.
Okay. Did you say?
I said I'm not fuck with it all.
Oh, 0. Okay, cool. And I give it a 0 as well. Good job, and I hope they go in depth with it. Mm-hmm. Disney. Speaking of DEI, Disney is scaling back warnings about stereotypes in classic movies. So Dumbo with the crows, Peter Pan, These movies from 1941, 1953, respectively.
So they're gonna do it like we used to, just watch the movie?
Yeah, originally they had a disclaimer that warned people about negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. Instead, it now reads, this program is presented as originally created and may contain stereotypes or negative depictions. The move is reportedly part of a broader shift in their DEI initiatives. They are facing increased scrutiny amid political pressure, particularly from the Trump administration. All right, 0 to 100.
I don't know. I'm not fucked with at all. Like, from my, if I'm understanding this right, y'all basically taking that disclaimer off and go, here's the movie.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem.
And it still
with
has
that
some
at
level
all.
of a disclaimer, just doesn't specifically say mistreatment of people in their culture.
Right. I don't have a problem with that at all, because I do understand trigger warnings and I do understand preparing people. I get that, y'all. But there are some things in life that's impossible.
Yeah.
And so for me, I don't have a problem with it at all. Either watch it or don't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I never cared about these warnings. And it just, but I've said it on the show back when they first brought these warnings into the zeitgeist. It's like, if it helps people, good, but I'm not a person that needs it. I don't know, like, I knew this was from 1950 when I hit play, and I also feel a way, like, I don't mind the warning, take it or leave it, doesn't bother me. I think the broader message of like they're doing this in the midst of rolling back DEI stuff because of the Trump administration, that's a little bit bothersome. I'd say maybe 25 for me, because I just don't like that these Trump people think they're winning anything.
Right.
But I wouldn't have fought to keep these warnings. If I worked at the company, I wouldn't even have told them to do them. So that's not it. The thing that normally bothered me was the worst. I think it's the worst thing you can do is when they start taking down episodes of shows because the episode might be offensive, so we taking down this episode of The Office. I hate that shit.
Me too.
Y'all recorded it. It should be out there.
Yes.
If people don't like it, it becomes people's least favorite episode, and y'all just have to deal with the fallout. But
right,
you know, like,
don't erase shit.
But they didn't do that. So that's the only one. That's the only way it would have bothered me. All right, we'll do two more. All right, Cyprus school uses N-word in a newsletter to parents. All right, let's see what's going on.
It's a special school.
Cyprus is the location.
Oh, okay.
Like Charlotte School or something. I guess it's in Texas.
Story school facing criticism after a racial slur makes it into a newsletter sent to more than 100 families. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Keith Garvin.
Good evening. I'm Daniela Guzman. Well, tonight the school leader is apologizing, but one family says that doesn't go far enough to addressing the issue. KPRC2's Bryce Newberry is in Cyprus tonight with the fallout.
The newsletter didn't look much different than normal when it hit inboxes on Sunday, but then the school sent an apology email and parents looked a little closer. That racial slur that we aren't showing on TV jumped off the page. This email attachment starts with a Valentine's Day greeting, kicking off February, but scroll to page 3 and the words are anything but lovely.
I was shocked.
Okay, so let's just scroll to page 3. Trying to see where's the slur. Have you ever wondered? Okay, I don't know.
Jeanette Dove received it.
It's one of those things like you're trying to make sense of it, but then you realize, okay, this is not something that's going to make sense.
And couldn't believe what she saw, sent by her 4-year-old daughter's Montessori school in Cyprus.
This is egregious.
The paragraph reads,
sometimes just spending that quality academic time with your child one-on-one in the comfort of your home can be equal to, if not greater than, the academic authorization of a real nigga bitch.
Sometimes just spending that quality academic time with your child one-on-one in the comfort of your home can be equal to, if not greater than, the academic authorization of a real, we had to blur the rest.
For my child's school.
I mean, it's not an inaccurate sentence.
But
I have found that to be, at least in my experience, that spending quality academic time with your child one-on-one in the comfort of your home can be equal to, if not greater than, the academic authorization of a real nigga bitch. I agree. I just wouldn't.
I don't want it in my school letter.
Yeah, I wouldn't put. It's like something I might say privately to a friend. You know, maybe something I would say on Twitter to somebody. But I have found that to be my reality, in that I've learned a lot from real nigga bitches in my life.
Yes, sir.
I'd say sometimes even more than a lesson you can learn in school. It's like, thank God I was around them. But okay.
The rest.
From my child's school, of all places, I mean, I want my child's school to be a safe haven.
The Lycée Montessori school director assuring KPRC2 the offensive language isn't condoned, but unsure of how it made it in the publication that went to more than 150 families, and promising this family that security has been tightened around the accounts used to create and send the newsletter.
The bigger issue here is that there's someone on your staff who deemed it appropriate to access the document, put in that language, and then send it out to your constituents.
Dove finds the timing intentional at the start of Black History Month, now uncomfortable and unable to send her daughter back to the school.
This is not a problem we asked for. This is a problem that we're having to respond to.
The school director told me over the phone today that this newsletter has gone out every month for the last 8 years and there's never been a problem. But if they can identify the person who's responsible for this, they'll be fired immediately.
How would you not be able to identify the person that's responsible for the newsletter for the last 8 years?
Right, y'all only got 8 people that could. What is happening? I'm pretty sure this little school ain't got no hundreds of people to have access to this letter.
Why he trying to act like we asking them to get a forensic accountant and call Matlock? Like, this is pretty. Who signs it? Who hits enter?
Right.
I have a conspiracy theory of my own, though. I think I know what happened.
What happened?
I think it's AI. I think it's AI.
I could see somebody running this bullshit through AI and they didn't spell check. They didn't actually go through and read.
That's why I'm not worried about losing my job to AI yet, because AI don't know not to put real nigga bitch in the.
It does not.
The AI went to Urban Dictionary and was like, "What's wrong with this sentence? This how people talk." All right, 0 to 100, Karen.
This gets a Jakaris, because I would be highly upset if I got this letter sent to me from my child's school and y'all talking about we don't know who had access to this account and we don't know what we gonna do. Bitch, you better know something. It is probably a private school. I'm fucking paying tuition and shit.
Okay, I gave it a 75. The school did apologize and said they will find who's responsible. But also, I'm not as mad as she is, because she threw in, it's the start of Black History Month.
Oh, she big mad.
She said it's the start. She said
it's the beginning. What is happening?
But like, what?
She's like, somebody purposely did this.
Open your third eye. Open your third eye.
Throwing in that Black History Month was some just a chef's kiss, Dr. Umar level of wokeness. She threw that. She was like, they did this on purpose because they knew February 1st was coming. This was
somebody plotted and they schemed.
They didn't say real niggas in March. I know that.
They sure did. They didn't do it in January.
Okay, they pulled that.
I read this letter every month.
They pulled that shit out in February.
Right.
My third eye sense is tingling. All right. Speaking of, now it's my turn to hit the third eye for our last fucking with black people.
Okay.
Now this may not seem like it's fucking with black people to y'all. Tom Holland says he went to Target to buy Bero, B-E-R-O, his own non-alcoholic beer, but the staff wouldn't sell it to him because he couldn't prove his age. Here's a video.
Okay, so success.
I'll never get used to this man being beans and toast because he's so good as Peter Parker. It sounds like he's from New York, but yeah. Anyway, he is in his regular voice.
Okay, so success. I found.
Wait a minute. As an aside, do white people also get mad about British people taking their jobs and acting? Because I know black people definitely get mad. They be mad as hell when they find out one of these dudes is a mash and bangers guy. They be like, I can't believe Idris is stealing our job. Hobbs and Damson Idris, all the Idrises ain't from here. But do white people feel this way when it's like, why Peter Parker get to be Andrew Garfield and this guy? They not even from here. Anyway.
Okay, so success. I found some. I bought it. They wouldn't accept my ID because it's English and I couldn't prove my age. So a really lovely employee, I guess, scanned their ID. And it's kind of ironic that I wasn't allowed to buy my own product. But yeah, feeling good. This is really exciting.
It's weird.
Wasn't it non-alcoholic?
Right. Why would you even need that?
Right.
But all right, Karen. 0 to 100. What do you get us?
Oh, I'm not fucked with it all.
Huh? Not fucked with it all, you say? Really? Huh? Okay, because I give it a Dracarys.
Why?
Open your third eye. Open your third eye. Open your third eye. Open your third eye.
Ain't he supposed to be dating a black woman? And he's up in Target buying beer? Oh, I'm sorry, brother Holland, Vanilla King. I thought we was
Vanilla King.
I thought we was boycotting Target. Oh, but now when it's your beer, the white man's money, it's time to shop. So y'all just gonna go in on Tabitha Brown.
I didn't.
Y'all just gonna cancel Tab, but old Peter Parker ass can just web zip his ass on in there and get some beer and then make a cute little video about how he looks young.
Spider-Man.
Well, he wasn't wearing the Venom suit. I noticed that time he didn't want to be black. A Dracarys. Time you canceled. Okay, you either stand with the people or we all fall apart. He's just like the allies.
Spider-Man.
This is why they be gerrymandering us. This is why.
I know I'm part of the problem.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
All that anger over the white allies not doing enough and let them swing from a web. All of a sudden, you just ready for Master Tom to come in and tell us what to do.
I sure am. You let a politician.
You gonna go buy some of that beer? You gonna go buy some of that beer? You gonna go to Target and give them your good DEI dollars?
If I can find it.
No, you're not.
If I can find it.
I don't believe you.
Oh, I walk my black ass right on in Target.
We'll see.
We just haven't been to one in a while.
Why do you think that is? Right.
But if we do, I'm not protesting.
This is why I got to deal with.
You sure do.
All that anger over the Democrats, and you can't wait to go to Target and give them your dollars.
Because guess what?
For a white man, by the way. Not even saying you going in there to get Tabitha's cutting board. You going in there to give the white Spider-Man non-alcoholic beer money that you won't even fucking drink. That's crazy.
I don't have a problem with it. Him nor Target is a politician.
All right. That's it for today's show. I can't stomach this kind of bullshit, guys. I thought we had principles and integrity up in here. I didn't realize I was in here next to Sage Steele. We'll do sword ratchetness and get out of here. Oh, that's weird. It's not showing my sword ratchetness stories for some reason.
Oh, no.
Huh. If I switch it to this. Damn, now it's only got one story. What the fuck?
What's happening over there to your computer? It's doing its own thing. Did it decide to take a vacation? It's like, I'm tired too.
I could try opening a different browser and see if it'll work in there. But for some reason, when I went to sort it by sword ratchetness stories, it just didn't put any of them up. Okay, I found one. Samurai sword wielding agent can't remember new arrest. Former realtor might need to see video of his latest arrest to remember the incident after being taken to the hospital following the alleged spate of assaults. Carl Adden Howard was previously spared jail for a drug-fueled attack on two women that involved a samurai sword. The 48-year-old faced court again on Tuesday when he appeared via a video link from his hospital bed following alleged assaults on 4 people in Sydney's inner west. His lawyer, John Sutton, requested vision of Howard's arrest to make sense of the matter. He has no recollection of a significant portion. He might have been experiencing an episode of psychosis at the time of the incident. The former real estate agent allegedly assaulted a 49-year-old woman after demanding her car keys outside of a store at 10:20 p.m. on Sunday. Damn. Before allegedly assaulting a 55-year-old man who followed him up the street. Howard is also accused of subsequently assaulting a 40-year-old woman and a 39-year-old man, both of whom police said he knew at a nearby unit complex. Everybody was getting it.
That's up for everybody.
He allegedly assaulted the woman again after she fled the unit while the man collapsed out unconscious outside.
Damn.
They were treated by paramedics while Howard was arrested after officers negotiated his exit from the unit. He has been charged with 14 offenses, including 1 count of aggravated breaking and entering while inflicting actual bodily harm. As opposed to what?
Opposed to what?
As opposed to what? Actual? As opposed to figurative bodily harm.
And the real bodily harm? Yeah. What's happening here?
He implied bodily harm, but this time he did it. The charge carries a maximum 20-year jail term. A police officer remained on guard in the room when Howard faced court from the hospital. He did not apply for bail and is due to face court again April 15th. Howard was placed on a 27-month intensive corrections order in November 2023 after pleading guilty to recklessly causing grievous bodily harm for a drug-fueled attack on 2 women.
Oof. Sounds like this is jam.
Yeah. The sentence allowed him to remain out of jail while he completed the period of home detention and community service. He was earlier found not guilty on 2 counts of grievous bodily harm with intent to murder over the incident. There you guys go. Okay, be careful out here. These real estate agents
they wilding in the streets.
They got swords and they don't mind hurting people, apparently.
Have your paperwork together, please.
All right, and make sure you have your paperwork when you go buy the white man's beer at Target.
Please do.
I'm not even gonna call you what Dr. Lumar would say. All right, y'all. We'll talk to y'all. Talk to y'all next time. Until then, I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah. Bye, everybody. Peace.